Sound is on, fans on. Hi, nice to see you guys.
Yay!
Let's see if this okay. My phone is fogged up. Can't type really, but it's on the phone, I think. This has been fantastic. For the last half an hour or so.
Glad I made a 2 hour window because hopefully this actually won't take that long. But I figured since it had been a while since we had a meeting, there might be issues. So we're fine. I do have a hard stop at 2 unless you want to talk tech because Nicholas will be arriving at 2 to talk about tech planning. And then, of course, I got to work on the place here. Okay. So, hi, everybody.
Hi. Bonjour.
I'm still alive, just. I'm paying the bills, just. But we have to think longitudinally here. My current contract goes till October 5th. Now, my current manager loves me and wants to do everything he can to extend that contract, but that contract pays me only like half what I'm normally paid. And so I'm still looking for other work that pays me what I'm supposed to be paid. I'm getting less and less confident about practicing musician being able to do the payout that they were going to do. The CEO is young and he made a mistake of, he got a sales team of 12 people. Like he's got like 30 people he's recruited. He's like really on it. But he's had trouble with people following through. And he has 12. He had 12. He's down to 9 salespeople, and he had a sales director. So he handed off the most valuable, like it was easy peasy. It was already a done deal client to the sales director to wrap it up. Well, they didn't like him because he came across as your typical sleazy salesman, and he basically nuked the deal. And that was the thing that was going to bring in a lump sum in August or September that would clear my debt and make the possibility of buying the place and all of that. Now he's trying to salvage that, but it's not looking promising. It's really not looking good for this year. It may all end up being next year for any of this stuff to pan out. So I'm trying to hang in there with this job because it's still a great job. I mean, we're making music education freely available to everybody in a very accessible and neuroscience learning way. It totally parallels, right? Here we are role-playing gaming, right? The one thing that's always been split at RPG Research is the role-playing games and music, right? I've always had that and music as part of our programs because they parallel and the drum circles help prepare people for role-playing games, etc. But it was always because I didn't want to have a separate project doing the music. But the music has kind of gone by the wayside for a while. I still have all the instruments, still everything else, still want to resume that. But meanwhile, Practicing Musician came along and they're like, this is excellent. This is well in line with the music side of things. And it's great. And it's free and it's open. And he's fully on board with everything we do being open source. And so that's all great. However, he's having trouble closing the deals, right? People are excited about what he does. He's well connected, networked. And then when it comes down to trying to get them to commit to signing a contract, that hasn't happened yet. He'll keep chiseling at it. He's been doing this for 7 years. He's on version 2 of the current website and platform, so he has a history of eventually getting there. I will stick it out at least until September, and then I'll have to make some hard decisions on that one. But if it's not earning any income, I got to get back to my normal income in order to keep this stuff afloat because the community hasn't stepped up. We've failed to engage the community, however you want to phrase it. We don't have enough money coming in from a benefactor or community outside of myself to maintain what we're doing. Before we took the risk with the community center, our average burn was about $5,000 a year. And we had a huge impact. We were helping thousands of people with our programs. We had 100 plus volunteers. We were doing amazing things, but my neighbors hated me with a pure purple passion. With all with the bus and the trailers and all the people coming and going and all that, and they were starting to file petitions against me and all that, and it was getting ugly there. And we couldn't get any grants because we didn't have a dedicated place. We had our virtual office, our mobile facilities, and we were providing programs at different locations. And we couldn't get any grants there. And we were assured if we got a place that would make grant applications a lot easier. And we just weren't, we would get, the other thing is it was very flexible. If we had more money, we could do more. If we had less money, we just hunkered down. We didn't have a high burn rate, so it was easy to hunker down. And when we get an influx of cash, we would temporarily drive the bus more and do more programs. And then when there wasn't cash, I'd just park them and everything was fine. The problem with this, and it was a gamble, was if we didn't raise enough, our hunker down mode is still $40,000-$50,000, right? So, and it just, we got that influx from, not mine. Well, we did get that little influx from Minecraft, but the big one was the 28 grand from Dropout TV, in the hopes that was going to be the beginning of more momentum. We've had nothing even close since. We've had people step up to keep us from going under. Thank goodness. In January, we got that $9 grand that kept us from losing the place, and in a bad way, right? In a default way. And then I've just had to cover it ever since. And I'm working 100 hours a week, and so that means I can't work on the book. Training has been curtailed. Community center isn't open. We're not moving forward. We're just underwater, just sitting here trying not to drown. But we have the community center till March. So what I'm proposing, and this is up for discussion because I'm wide open for better solutions, but these are the realities we have to face, and it's better if we plan long time ahead than in panic mode at the last minute. And we can have different pathways and contingencies, right? Think of it choose, as a solo adventure book or module pathway options. We can lay out different pathways here. If we don't have some method of sustainable money coming in to pay for the place that isn't coming for me by or before January, we're just going to have to tell the landlord, because we need to give the landlord 90 days notice. We have to tell the landlord we're not going to renew the lease.
Yeah.
If we get money, we need to tell the landlord we're going to renew the lease by or about December, January. Let's just say December to be safe. We need to tell them we're going to renew it, and if we're lucky, it'll be the same terms, which is it will be $3,000 a month for rent. Right now it's $2,500 because each year it goes up $500 a month. And that's not counting utilities and everything else, right? It's another $1,000 for the utilities, and then it's another $1,000 for the insurance, $10,000 a year for the insurance. So we're already over $50,000 a year burn rate, and our donations are the lowest they have been since we started. Like our first year, I think we raised like $800 or $900. I'm not sure we're going to raise that much this year with our current pathway, not counting January's influx and mine. We're certainly better than that because of January's influx. But as far as our monthly donations, they're the worst they've been since we started. They're just not going anywhere. Grants, we're waiting on one grant, which was to help improve the property, but it doesn't help. It's not allowed to be applied to rent or anything. That's the only grant that's still out there waiting to find that Valerie applied for, but we haven't been granted a single grant.
Yeah.
So that hasn't happened, right? We've been here 2.5 years, and that hasn't worked. We've been applying.
Yeah, I feel like we got this place so that we could get grants.
That was
we're not getting them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we were hoping we'd get grants and community support. What killed us was the insurance requirement. Mm-hmm. We lost all those people. We had to shut down. We had to terminate all our programs, so we'd stop all of our momentum, let all those volunteers go, to be able to have the insurance. That was an unforeseen. That was the only like everything else was foreseen, as far as getting the place. That was totally unforeseen. And for 4 months we couldn't get insurance, and it was only once we did that we were able to, and then we have never recovered from that.
Yeah, despite my best efforts, I haven't been able to get people back.
Yeah,
and
no,
I've tried.
It's a momentum thing, and
like even the people who were here before, I haven't been able to get back.
Yeah, no. Once you go backwards, people lose faith, and so they lose interest. So my proposal is, unless something miraculous happens, somebody does, because it can't just be a single fundraising that gets us through one more year. We need something that's going to sustain us indefinitely. Now, the best option is buy the property. Landlord so wants us to buy the property, but that requires $80,000 to $100,000 down to get a mortgage to get the place, or a full $350,000 to $400,000 to just buy it outright. And if we were doing straight cash, he might even go as low as $300,000. Who knows what he'd do if we had straight cash? But we have to have a minimum of $80,000 to $100,000. Now, if Practicing Musician was panning out, that was theoretically possible.
Mm-hmm.
I now don't think that's going to happen. I think all of the stuff that we're building is going to happen next year. It's not going to happen this year. So, and the other part is I had to have my credit rating improved in time. And if I'm not getting money from Practicing Musician to turn my credit rating around, how are we going to get a mortgage, right? The nonprofit can't get it. The LLC could, but it doesn't have it has too low an income to really qualify. So it would come back to me and my wife, and we've already been nervous. Right now, the way this lease is set up, because the nonprofit couldn't get the credit, the lease is in the nonprofit's name, but I'm on the hook for everything. They can sue me. They can put a lien on my house. They can do, and remember, landlord's a lawyer. Like, they can ruin me personally the way the lease is set up currently. And it has made my wife very nervous, for good reason. So, and then we had that scare this winter, right, where there wasn't any money and we were behind and in arrears, and that really, made it scary. So I have to get out of the current lease. There's no way we can stay on the current lease with me personally liable. So unless a benefactor steps up, a windfall from a grant or huge donations, or we do some, unless we raise enough to cover several years of rent, which if we could cover several years of rent, then we could buy the place, right? If we could cover 3 years of rent, we could buy the place, because that's $150,000, right? And remember, rent's just going to keep going up, and it would be great to buy this because property is booming here, and we're going to have a drop at some point, but it's only going to keep booming, and this whole area is being improved. So ideally, we'd buy the place, but right now, unless some miracle happens, that is no longer an option unless something like Dropout TV was unforeseen. That came out of the blue. That February they reached out to me. We didn't reach out to them. It just happened. And some of our best windfalls have happened that way, which means we don't have any control over it. And that's not a good business model. So my proposal is we make the best of between now and December of having the community center. We the schedule that John and Kip and I talked about yesterday, to bring you, Dan, Elizabeth, into the loop, is that so next week Spark Central, Saturday. The following Saturday is not Spark Central, and we resume a form of training, but we go back kind of our old school way of doing it, which is more laissez-faire. I'll be doing the training, so I can do it that way. And what we do is everybody's going to learn to memorize the Eagle Peak presentation and similar presentations, in addition to going through the applied gaming practice and such. And we'll do that during the 4 hours on Saturday. Now, the tentative time that John was asking for was something like 3 to 7 on Saturdays. That way it isn't too late for Elizabeth, compared to like 1 a.m. stuff that we were putting her through before. That only goes till 10 her time at the latest. And it would be on the Saturdays that are not Spark Central. How do you guys feel about that?
So, I wanted to mention something.
Please, floor is open.
Oh, this is something, a recent thing that's happened on my side that I think is good news.
Okay.
I'm no longer bound by the general store.
Okay.
My independent care providing hours went from 39 hours per month to 116.
Okay, cool. So you've got more flexibility.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So now the only jobs that I have are independent care providing, which I have a lot more easy schedule, and I can coordinate with Rain and Betty on, and you guys.
Excellent.
Well,
and we'll talk about the LLC thing a little later. We're going to talk about the nonprofit first. Everybody here is an employee, so we'll switch to the LLC stuff after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I should be able to coordinate my schedule so that my Saturdays can be.
That's wonderful. That's great to hear that. And Kip's available till August. Then she'll be back in Florida until around October, and then she'll be back because she's doing more moving stuff. But just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
So, and Kip is very available outside of Monday through Friday. She's available in the evenings, maybe.
Yeah.
Just worried about exhaustion.
Yeah.
So right now, most of the crew, it's mostly just focus on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm not available I'm 100 hours a week, Monday through Friday. It's just not there. So I can only do Saturdays and Sundays for the foreseeable future until I get a better job situation, which I'm actively working on improving, and it will eventually improve. But for now, that's my schedule. When I get back to a job that pays me what I normally paid and is only 60 to 80 hours a week instead of 100 plus, I'll actually be more available. I mean, I just assume because tech is 60 hours a week, it's just the way it is. But they pay you well, so, normally. But this company I'm working for is out of Texas. It's a healthcare third-party administration thing, and it's boring as heck. The upside is it's helping me learn Flutter, which, as I get better at it, will help us on a whole bunch of other things. Because I've got in the queue apps and website stuff, but that's all down the road. As I get better at Flutter, we're going to have a whole bunch of cool stuff happening there. That's why I'm kind of basically I'm getting paid to learn another language. So that's part of why I take the hit on it. Is like, well, they're paying me to do something I don't really know very well, so okay. And they're happy with me, so all right. And it's helping pay the bills. So anyway, well, that's wonderful, Dan. Thank you. That's great news. So that helps with what we're talking about planning for the next 6 months or so, as far as that. So, Elizabeth, you had said something, but I think you were on mute.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I was asking about if that schedule works for you.
Yeah, that I'm very excited for getting back to any kind of training. I can do that time. It's fine.
Okay. It's going to be less. What?
Oh no. I said, is this a good time for a thought? But say what you're going to say.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Okay. So, Kip and I have been trying to meet up weekly to do the training, to do like our
online, get the online community programs
we had
going.
Sessions. It hasn't been happening this month. I think we're letting the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
I think we should get started, like hosting sessions. I know D&D isn't your favorite, but I'm quite comfortable with it. Dan and Kip are comfortable with like everything. We should offer like some workshops. We should like open up some groups. We should just start doing it. We can offer BFRPG a little bit and top secret for them and I can do thank you people. We should just start like this trying to like coordinate every week. It's too if you think we can manage it, we should start. We should have something going on.
Okay, that is part of what we're going to try to plan out for the next 6 months. So that is one of the agenda items. So we'll work on that. We want to work, number one, on getting the training nailed down and get that resumed, the core training. And then scheduling getting the community center reopened and the online programming. Those are all three things we need to get nailed down for the next 6 months. And I'm going to tell you what my plan is as far as if we don't have the money, how we keep going in a way that we can afford. And the online program is critically important for that, right? Because that's much more flexible. So yes, Elizabeth, we'll work through. We'll nail something down for that. Like you nail that down today. That's perfectly part of the agenda.
Talking out loud what's in your head. I haven't been there. I can only guess.
Exactly. No, exactly.
You're good.
You know that's why we're all here, is because you guys are all the active volunteers. So we've all been talking to each other, but we need to coordinate now. So that's why I pulled this meeting together, so we can start collaborating, coordinating, get going again with limited momentum, but with momentum. Okay, so yes, John.
Talked to my wife about this. She disagrees with the concept of doing training on non-Spark Central days. Example, me and Daniel can run Spark on Spark days, and you and Kip and Elizabeth can do additional training on Spark days. That way we have training every day, every Saturday, and we keep Spark going with me and Daniel.
But we already lost people trying that approach because it's too much. What's that?
You're saying weekly is too much?
No, double two sessions in the same day is too much.
No, we're not talking 2 sessions in the same day. We're
He's
talking
saying
that
he and
me
Dan
and
do Spark
Will-
and you train here.
But you and Dan need training too.
Right. But we're advanced enough that we can get the. What we're talking about is the new people have extra time to get trained up.
No, we're also talking about fixing our quality control because the training
We can
deviated so much.
Can I translate?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I think what John is saying is, you and I and Kip train every week, and Dan and John join on non-Spark days. Is that what you're saying, John?
Yes. I'm not saying that we skip training. I'm just saying me and Dan stick to the original schedule we were thinking of, but you provide extra training for people who have no background.
I don't know when I would. So you're talking about me doing 2 training sessions a weekend?
No.
No.
What he's saying is, John and Dan will train on the non-Spark days. The rest of us will just train every week, and they'll join us on the non-Spark weekends.
Okay, well, where are you going to be during Spark? You're not.
He's saying to not have me at Spark, to just
that's
have.
part of your. Yeah, that's.
If then she can come in, like me and Dan, if you want her to come to Spark every other week, while the people who are brand new get the extra training by training on Spark weekends.
If we want weekly training, we would need to do that on Sundays until the community center reopened. But doing
Why couldn't you do weekly trainings on Saturdays?
because
You're not going to Spark. You don't need to go to Spark.
because trainees are supposed to be doing Spark Central as part of their training and giving back to the community.
Right.
That's all part of our formula.
You're going to need to train them first before we can take them to Spark.
What was that, Elizabeth?
What if could we switch to Sundays? Would that work?
So we've been talking about Sundays. We were hoping to reopen the community center on Sundays from like 3 to 7 on Sundays once we had enough people trained up enough that we could reopen. So we were going to keep Spark Central going and then open the community center on Sundays, hopefully August or at latest September, once everybody was kind of back in the groove and we had enough people that could be here at the center to open it weekly. And that was why I was hesitant to do training on Sundays, because then we would end up with the doubling up again. Because we do not want anybody to do 2 sessions in the same day, whether it's training or community, though each one's a session. We've learned that burns people out. So that was why the proposal we had last night that we were discussing, and now we're talking about revising, was that we'd have no training on Spark Central days. Everybody's at Spark Central. I mean, so it is training in that you're at Spark Central getting hands-on experience.
Right. So they're either
That's
running
always
games
yeah,
or
exactly,
they're participating in
or
games.
super yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it is still training when they're at Spark Central, and even if they're
Can
brand
I
new.
clarify that?
What?
So, if you have 6 people, I heard we had maybe a half a dozen people. in
Possibly,
the
yeah.
training?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. If we have 6 people who are going to be either watching or running, in the initial month of July, they can't go to Spark Central to run because they haven't had any training whatsoever.
Right. They need a few sessions under their belt before they go to Spark.
Right.
But
That's
they-
my point.
But they can go to Spark and participate in games.
But after they can certainly just show up as players and such, just to get a feel for it.
But 6 players divided evenly among tables is 2 tables, and we're taking away space from the
Yeah,
actual
but we
players.
do what we did before, which worked beautifully, because by doing that we actually increased participation, because when people saw 3 tables available, we got better engagement, and then our volunteers always step aside first if we're starting to overflow. That was always that worked beautifully when we did that before.
Okay, we can always have a player that steps aside do the note taking.
Right. The observational stuff, exactly. It worked beautifully when we did it that way, where we had at least 3 tables, at 1.5 tables, and we had all staff at each table initially, so it looked busy, and that enticed people more. And then either they got to practice the games they needed to practice if it was a slow day, or if it was a busy day, they could step aside, or if a player character died, you could give the volunteer, like with Danielle and stuff, could give them their character to continue playing. It worked beautifully that way. Having a bunch of volunteers there worked really well, and it was really good for training. Once we get past teaching them the code of conduct in the first couple of sessions, they're ready for Spark. They don't get to GM at Spark, but they're ready to help at Spark. And that's generally after about 2 to 4 sessions they can do that.
Okay, so the 6th, we are going to run Spark Central.
Right.
The next week after that, the 13th,
We start training.
we start our regular training. Now,
Correct.
nobody else is joining us at Spark Central except the people that are here.
For the first at least, I mean, we want to get at least, a session or 2 under their belts of code of conduct and approach.
Right.
But they
So-
could easily be joining by August. End
The
of July, beginning of
20th.
August. What's that?
August 20th, are you having your trainees show up for the first Spark Central or not?
20th? What's the significance of the 20th of August? It's a Tuesday.
The significance of 20th of August is the 3rd Saturday of the month.
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to do math. The 13th plus 7 should have been the 20th.
The 17th is the 3rd Saturday
Of August or
Okay.
July?
of August.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got myself a month ahead. We're talking July here.
Okay,
so
July.
it's the 20th of July.
Okay, yeah, 20th of July, yeah.
And that will be, we've had 1 session of training.
Right. Which might be enough,
And-
like depending upon their experience. Like with the guy we were talking to yesterday, and then one of your guys, one of your folks who has signed up, they probably only need a single, code of conduct coverage before they could show up at Spark. Right? It doesn't take that much to go over, make sure they just know our standards at that basic level.
Then on the 27th of
Right.
August,
Continue training.
that would be your training.
Yep.
And
Or,
there
July.
isn't of July.
Yep.
And there isn't a
5th week
5th weekend.
Right.
So we're going to go back into Spark.
on the 3rd of August.
Right. And that will be everybody, right?
Potentially, yeah. Depends on how
Okay.
fast Kip can recruit and onboard and all of that, and Elizabeth. And, yes, Elizabeth.
No, just not me.
Oh, okay.
Start with Spark, unfortunately.
No, but you can help Kip with the recruiting screening process. Potentially,
Okay.
just a proposal.
If you wanna.
That's stuff I want to talk about, but we're trying to nail
I'm
down.
happy to help with stuff that's not like marketing and like tracking people down and trying to drag them in by the throat.
Right. No, we're talking about we're talking about a reset here, right? We've got our few core that are still here, and then we're just going to start fresh with recruiting again. We're going to start the process fresh. We've got a few people in the queue. We can see if they're interested still, but otherwise we're going to repost fresh we're going to have a different approach for now. We're going back to how we originally did this before, with the less rigorous. We're not going to do the rigid. We're not doing rigidly out of the book initially. We have the Eagle Peak presentation, a version of that, and applied gaming, and we're going to do it like I did way back when with John, Danielle, Jacob, and Ryan, where it was more laissez-faire, where I was like, okay, today we're going to cover what was his name? The rules guy. The lazy, the other guy.
Flourish.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like-
the other guy, the one about the rules GM, and he was kind of a micromanager one. I covered different topics as I thought was appropriate for the people that were there.
Robin's Laws.
Robin's Laws, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to that more laissez-faire style temporarily until I'm more available and can work more on the third edition and such. It's because then I can target it to the people we have that are active. Like, okay, let's pick these specific games and these specific topics for this specific group. This doesn't scale long term, but it gets us back in momentum of our programs with GMs who can participate faster. And then when I'm freed up again, I'll resume the work on the third edition and we'll get back to what we know is the long-term scalable solution that then others of you can teach as well. The other advantage of this, by doing the focus of memorizing the Eagle Peak parallel presentation, is all of you will get your advocacy speaking points down. It covers all of the major topics that are in the book at an introductory level. And it makes it so that those of you who are LLC employees can start signing up for workshops to do that presentation, to get billable hours. If you guys have that, because you're all going to do the presentation, we're going to go through a whole 90-minute, whatever it is, presentation in front of each other, do peer review, give feedback, keep trying to improve till you've got it down, that you can do it without reading the script. You'll say everything you're supposed to say, but you can, just by what's on the screen, boom, 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 you've got it down. And that you're able to implement it so that then you start signing people up at the workshops with the LLC to get your hours as much as you want while training. So that isn't for the non-LLC people as far as that particular goal. But even for the non-LLC people, them knowing how to say this and introduce it when people ask, well, what is this about? Like yesterday, people walked up. Everybody going through this training will be able to have their talking points. They'll just break into that presentation mode and boom, 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 boom. And I think that will be the fastest route to ramping back up, because that'll help with recruitment. Because if all of us are able to use those talking points instead of just me and John and Dan, the rest of you are catching up, but and I by far the most, that's going to help with recruiting. When people show up asking these questions, if all of us can talk in a competent professional way like that, that's going to help with the whole process. What do you think?
I like it.
So the goal here is to be able to jazz off bullet points, not to be able to memorize a whole speech word for word, because it's been a while since I did that kind of acting.
I no, the training is going to be applied gaming and memorize this presentation with the slideshow. It's a full slideshow. So being able to go through the slideshow and you can see the bullet points in front of you and everything, being able to go through the full 90-minute presentation smoothly and professionally. That will be how we jumpstart training. And what that does is that's the Aikido approach, where both beginners and experienced people will benefit at the same time. Some of you will be further along than others. We will all be able to benefit at the same time and move forward. And that's as opposed to the stepwise chapter approach. This is just going to jump straight into a very targeted thing. Now, that's not forever. That's just to get us jump-started and get moving, right, till I'm freed up more to work on the more established approach. So I was going through it a little bit with Kip. What's that?
I'm just checking to make sure you're not expecting us to be able to do 90 minutes word for word, no prompts.
You have a whole slideshow in front of you.
Yes.
You will have lots of prompts.
You will be using the presentation screen, remotely or otherwise, to say, on the next slide, blah, 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 and so you've got everything in front of you. I don't want you reading straight from the script once you've got it down. So that was something that really embarrassed us badly back in Reno Atra, was people were reading straight from the script, and we got lambasted for that. Same thing at Gen Con. So I want to get everybody, because this is even the experienced folks who are doing things like that, you should not need to read the script and still be able to say the script accurately with the correct buzzwords and all of that. It doesn't have to be word for word perfect, but you have to have all the correct buzzwords in the correct order, the correct context. And we have not finished through. So we're really focusing kind of on the RPG advocate while making people available to GM as well. But it's really hammering on the RPG advocacy, because that's what we need right now, is we need advocates out there to recruit people and donors to get back on our feet. And by memorizing that 90-minute or so presentation, that will be enough to do so, because it's a pretty well-polished presentation. It nails the topics quickly, and it starts out with the basics. And then when you run into people and you find out what they're skeptical about, you can jump to whatever part of the presentation is applicable. You'll just have it down. So it'll help with the elevator pitch, all of that. So yes, we're going to get everybody ready to GM, but the training part's going to hammer on the advocacy while we're learning game systems. So that's my proposal. And floor is open for further discussion on that.
So, Hawk, as far as training's concerned, I will continue my salt marsh game, but have it cleaned up by 2:30.
Okay?
Sunday, the non-training days. When do we want to start that? We can start it as early as this Sunday.
You talking about the community center?
Yeah, the community center. When do you want? Well, we need cleanup.
Yeah, I gotta get all cleaned up, and we've got to have people. Until we have people, I don't want to commit to a set date, because that has gotten us in trouble. So we're gonna play it each week. We're gonna evaluate. Okay, are we ready to start opening the community center?
Who do we have available right now to run a community center?
Not counting Elizabeth, who you see here, your wife and Patrick, and my wife maybe as far as the receptionist, and that's
Okay.
it.
So we have 3 GMs and a supervisor
Yeah.
for Sundays. I see 4 people here that can physically be here on Sundays.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
three GMs and a supervisor,
Yeah.
plus a desk person.
Yeah. All right. So we could shoot for August, or maybe we could do July. Let's see.
Third weekend in July, or even second weekend in July, depending on how fast we can clean up.
Yeah, I'm nervous about that just because my own self, my health has not been good, so I'm really slow. We could shoot, and by the way, Tolkienmoot is off the board at this point. Again,
It's canceled?
unfortunately. Yeah, there's no way. We don't have the resources. I don't.
All right.
I don't have the ability to make it happen.
Okay.
We're just going to do normal Tolkien Society meeting.
At least have a special guest.
If we can, but we'll see.
I'll dress up like a hobbit.
Yeah. So.
In other words, you'll look normal.
Basically, yes.
What about Sunday, July 28th?
Okay.
I think that gives us enough buffer to kind of get our groove back.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have new people in the queue that may or may not be available to help. That's okay. We'll be back in a routine of seeing each other every weekend.
Yes.
Like, I think we need a few weeks to just kind of get our rhythm back.
Yes.
Right.
So what do you think of Sunday, July 28th? We start doing weekly Sunday community center.
I'm down for that.
Who can join me this Friday and all the Fridays upcoming? I know it's not you, Hawk. To try to get at least the downstairs cleaned and organized.
I can't commit to that.
Yeah, she's got work Monday through Friday now.
Okay.
I'm training. We're preparing for summer camp, and I am.
Yeah, it's wiping her out.
Yeah.
So Dan, it sounds like Dan could possibly.
So I'm looking, and one of the things that is kind of distracting me is with the, I'm trying to see like, community center on Sundays, talk show is on Mondays,
Yeah.
trainings on Saturdays, and that leaves me 4 days where I'm doing independent care providing. That is, Betty has 2 days and Rain has 2 days.
Okay,
And
that's a problem.
yeah, I would have to.
So I think we're still
basically
talking only availability on Saturdays and Sundays, which is what I expected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can try and come in early on, any other day and work on cleaning up,
Sure.
like I've done before.
Yeah.
But the Sunday game that I was running on Sunday, I would have moved to Fridays.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, John, we just don't have Friday people enough available to do that yet. As we recruit new people, that may change.
Yeah.
Okay. September 11th,
Yeah.
Hawk's birthday. That's when me and Carolyn are going to be gone until Monday.
Okay.
I'll be out of town.
That's okay. So that will be the weekend of the 14th and 15th.
Yep.
So we'll just, I mean, by then hopefully we'll be staffed up enough with the new people that it can still be managed.
Is that the first? What is that? The
second. That's
or
the
third?
second. That's the second Saturday, and third Sunday.
So we're not interfering with Spark.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's doable. We'll have new staff. Dan and Kip will be able to
I won't be
supervise.
here.
Oh, Kip will be gone. So okay, that could be a problem. Depends on how the new staff are doing, because otherwise we only have Dan. We might just have to be closed that weekend.
You might have to be because I'm not going to get divorced.
We'll just have to play it by ear as far as how the other staff are doing.
Unless
Okay.
you want to give power to me.
I mean, I'm available. I'm not like out of town or anything, am I? Am I out of
No.
town that weekend? I don't think I am.
You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta ask my wife. Let's see what plans because her
You could
birthday's.
look at your calendar,
There's nothing there right now, but her birthday's the 12th.
Oh,
Hers is the day after mine. She's 2 years older than I am, but her birthday's the day after mine.
Let's just assume right now that both John and Hawk are not going to be available because they're making sure that their marriage is intact.
No, I'm not particularly like. I'm pretty
He's not
sure.
gonna be gone for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be gone for the
Oh.
weekend. It would it at most be an either or, not both.
Yeah.
There's a chance we may not open the community center if I do training that Saturday, right? That's a possibility. But so if it's Dan, and I'm there, and we've got other helpers, I think we'll still be able to manage. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. So, but that's good to bring up for potential issues. Excuse me.
So, I have been thinking about the rent and the
Yeah.
buying and the property
Yes.
and all this thing.
Please.
I feel like maybe this is too much building, like too much, like it's too big of a thing.
This was
Until you try to get more than 3 people in. I mean,
Yeah.
Until you fill the tables.
with all our stuff.
Yeah,
We're busting the seams here.
yeah, I know.
We have tried to do the smaller. We looked at smaller places first.
Yeah.
This was surprising how big it was. This was cheaper than anything else we saw
Okay.
for much smaller spaces. That's what was so great about this. It was initially just $1,500 a month,
Right.
and it was this is just shy of 3,000 square feet of actual usable space.
Yeah.
Not counting the outside. We were looking at like 1,000 square foot spaces that were $2 to $3 to $4 grand a month.
Okay.
So basically, the front building, they were wanting several thousand per month everywhere.
That
For commercial
seems
real estate, it's
excessive.
very expensive.
For
This is a
commercial.
booming market,
Yeah.
and it's commercial real estate, and it has to be commercial for us to do this at a community center level. So it's a whole other thing. I mean, rent is shot through the roof here anyway, right? Rent is double what it was 10 years ago. So, yeah, that's the consequence of a booming market. And that was 3-4 years ago. We searched for 2 years.
Okay.
And we had a lot of close ones like, oh, maybe this one. Oh, maybe this one. We made a lot of, and I just kept going, John, hang in there, because either he or I would get really bummed when it would fall through.
Yeah.
We had to kind of carry the other one, like, oh man, like it's
Okay.
just keep at it. We got this after 2 years of searching.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was by far the cheapest. We
Okay.
have no credit rating. Like it's almost impossible for our nonprofit without any regular money to get a place. So it took a really unusual landlord and situation
Yeah.
to let us make this happen. The only way they did that was put it on me personally. And we found a guy. So what happens is our landlord grew up in this neighborhood. He's a lawyer now. And he's a really nice lawyer. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but he's a really nice guy. And I was so worried that it was a lie and bait and switch. But everybody I talked to is like, he's the nicest guy. He's the nicest guy. He is not a wealthy lawyer. Ah.
There it is. I got it.
So he helps hard luck cases out a lot.
Okay.
The people who did the contracting work, they were all ex-cons and stuff that
Okay.
he'd helped stay out of prison and things like that. So
Nice.
he's got a big squishy heart. He really loves what we're doing. He really wants to see us succeed, but he doesn't actually own the property. He's just the landlord go-between for people who actually own it.
Okay.
The guy who owned it died, and then it went to the family, and then so he's the front for the family, and they decide ultimately. But he can make a case for them. He totally believes if we wanted to buy it, he could make that happen if we had the money, and he would love to see us do that, and that would be awesome. But
Okay.
unless something. I'm half Irish, and I'm afraid that keeps playing a factor here. Because if it wasn't for bad luck, we wouldn't have any luck at all. So it's we have to do things by
I
force
feel like
of.
we did an audit on how much Irish we have in the Senate.
He does too, yeah.
Because I'm 1/8 Irish,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much Irish John has.
I think it's 1/8. I have more Irish than I thought I did.
Okay.
None to my knowledge.
Okay.
98% of my genome is Ukrainian.
Okay. Okay.
But how much is Irish? Okay.
Oofing.
So anyway, my own life has been the only way I achieve things is through sheer force of will, not luck. If I rely on luck, it is going to go badly.
Yep.
So it has to be what?
Amen to that.
He said amen.
Oh yeah, like the 5 ones on a 20-sided die in a row in a broadcast session.
It was 6.
Oh, 6, sorry. I keep trying to play it down, huh? 6, great. The statistical probability of that,
Sounds like one of my dice.
it's not the dice. It's not the dice. We tried it. It has nothing to do with the dice.
The statistical probability is 5% per roll.
Yes, but it's compounded as far as the possibility that it's happening 6 times in a row.
Yes.
I know.
Did you factor in the luck of the Irish in that?
Exactly. That's like, oh, well, then the statistical probability is like most likely.
Most likely, yes.
Anyway, going off. So anyway,
Okay.
the point is,
So downside.
if it happens,
seems
great. We can
unlikely.
always shift course.
Okay.
But let's assume for now, I don't want to be, was it Debbie Downer's the phrase? Like, oh, everything, like, there's always, I believe immensely in possibilities, and anything can happen, or I wouldn't be doing these crazy things, right?
Right.
But I also try to be a realist. So optimistic and realist, trying to avoid falling into pessimism. And so let's just assume we're not going to catch a break, because historically we do not catch many breaks. And I don't currently have something in my horizon that is going to turn things around financially in the near future. Who knows down the road? But for the foreseeable year, it looks like it's going to be really tight. I've got enough to keep us treading water and get us to the March end of lease without being in, as long as nothing else goes wrong, without being in hot water again like we were earlier this year. So that's good. So that at least is something. The problem is the March comes up and we have to give 90 days notice in advance so he can start to make it for sale, all that. So let's just assume we're going to do plan A, which is downsize to our old model. We're going to use the place well between now and December, and we'll start moving out in January because we'll need those months to move stuff. But we'll just stay here solidly till the end of the year.
Yeah.
But the plan is we will move out by March. So as far as that plan, one of the things I'm going to be doing, and I've already got Katie's okay, is I'm going to buy 1 or 2 very large, nice storage sheds. They might even be kind of mini home storage sheds to put on the lower tier of my property at my house, because my house is up on side of a plateau, and it's got the front yard with the house, the backyard with the basement part of the house, and then another tier, and then the highway, another tier down below there. And so the second tier is basically unused. I had the starting of a little clubhouse I'd started to build for my kids. I never finished. I was going to make that a storage shed, but whatever. And I've got some trees that an arborist killed. It's a plum tree and an apple tree. They're all dead. So that just needs to be kind of with some grunt work leveled a little bit. And then we could put easily like like our biggest storage sheds here. We can't take the sheds, but I'm just pointing them as examples. Like our biggest one here that can actually be a game room. If we flatten that space out enough, we could fit probably 2 of those on that lower tier to store everything.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if we're clever about it, and I've noticed some of them have 2 stories. Mm-hmm. Some of them are a little bit like tiny homes, but without the expense of a tiny home. Mm-hmm. So, we start getting the 10 grand range for that, but still compared to 3 grand a month in rent versus 10 grand to buy something. So Katie and I are going to start looking around to look at storage shed on up that we can put down on that lower tier to store everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because
good thing you're not an HOA.
Yes. Well, it's hidden in the trees too, though. So, like, you're really not even going to see it in the trees because it's surrounded by trees. But yes, it is a good thing I'm not an HOA.
You still have to get.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to worry about anything. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's county, not city.
Oh.
Got it.
So, as far as I know, I'll find out. When I start getting quotes and stuff, if they say you have to get
not
a
having a
land.
building permit when you have to have one is a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm hoping I won't have to do any of that. We'll find out. We're looking into it. But anyway, what happened was when we ran out of the basement before, one of the problems we had is all this stuff, it was crammed tight. Because we had it all, we're trying to have it all accessible, and there was nowhere else to put it. And a storage shed was expensive. So if we can replicate this studio part, that's all my furniture right there and stuff. We can reset up in the basement. It's not as nice as these ceilings, but the basement was usable. We were able to broadcast. We did amazing things from that basement. We did freaking Worldcon and Gen Con out of that basement. When we brought in the bus and the trailers, it gave us a temporary additional rooms, etc. We did amazing stuff with that little setup. If we add a couple of storage sheds to make the basement less crowded, then that'll make that easier to handle. So, tentatively, that's the plan, is we get 1 or 2 storage sheds on the property. The stuff that's just sitting in storage in the house there, if we're not using it, we'll start moving that to the storage shed anyway, because that's better than that place. And, that will then let us move back to operating the house. Now, to operate out of the house, I still have to figure out what I'm going to do with the bus and trailers, because that was the big thing. There were 2 things the neighbors were really upset about. The volunteer traffic and the bus and trailers, because at some points I had them all there. If I don't know if I can talk Click It RV into letting me store them for free again. Radar,
We don't need your help, darling.
down. I think he wants something. So I still have to figure out what to do with the bus and trailers, but I've got time and I'm working on it. But that's the plan, is that we'll go back to our low 5K a year burn of HQ is in the house, our broadcasting and studio stuff's in the house, online gaming's in the house as needed, in the basement. Storage is in a nice, completely protected storage shed, so our museum supplies, all of that will be in better shape than where they are in the current building. If at all possible to use those as a game room, great. I don't know. It depends if I can get the double decker or not. We'll see. But we'll at least use the downstairs again like we did before. We usually had a room set up for doing broadcast gaming, like Dan or Danielle or whatever would run the sessions or observe them, etc. So basically, you could come to there as long. We never bring clients or community to the house. It's only volunteers. I still have the Monroe offices. I just finished moving all the address mailings to here, and I was about to terminate my contract there, but I'm going to go back to them and keep it. That's to receive mail is $50 a month. If we want to use it, like we've used it for workshops and stuff like that, I can either buy lump sums for about $200, $300 a month for a block of hours, or we can pay $15 an hour or whatever it is now to rent any of those rooms. And they're nice. The legal offices and stuff, they're nice. And we've done workshops out of them. We've done programs out of them. So when we need to do something in the community like that, especially meet with prospective clients, that's where, new volunteers, we meet down at there. We don't meet them at my house. We don't bring brand new strangers straight to my house. We also have the bus and the trailer. We used to set up at parks and everywhere and just do our drop-in and RPG like that. So on the days we weren't at Spark Central, we were doing drop-in and RPG at Manitoba, at Manitou Park and other. We'd park on street corners, abandoned lots, and put up our banner and signs, and people would just come in and try it out. That all worked a lot better. It was only because of the grants that we went, well, okay, maybe that'll get us something better, and that hasn't panned out. And that model, what happened is if we got an influx of cash, we could take the bus and trailers out more, right? Because we could fix them up and we had more
Do things
gas.
like Gen Con.
We could do things like Gen Con, exactly. Now we're just broke all the time. We're always just trying to keep this place going,
Yeah.
and it's sucked us dry,
Yeah.
and we're just out of it. It hasn't worked out. It would have worked if somehow we'd engaged the community or benefactor. That could still happen, but so far we've not succeeded in that.
Yeah.
And that model was working at just $5K a year, and we were getting enough donations to cover that generally. That's not a big ask. So, again, short of something else happening, that's kind of the plan as we go back to that. So we stay operational. We do our programs. The LLC operates out of Monroe. That's where I used to do we used to do all the sessions with NG at the Monroe Street office and stuff, every session. So for the LLC, it's a non-issue. Actually, that was nicer to meet clients there than here. It was kind of embarrassing to meet them here. So, so we go back to what worked, basically.
Seems like a good idea.
And we were growing. We were growing and growing. We went from 35 to 50 to 80 to 150. At one point, we peaked at 200 volunteers. And it's ever since we got this place, it's just been killing us in large and small amounts.
Yeah.
Just insurance alone would.
It's totally the
pay
insurance.
for
Yeah.
Some places.
That is what. That's what did us in. That was the killing blow. And if we try again, unless some windfall happens, if we try to hang on for another year, we're just going to end up bankrupt.
That's what I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts and
And
comments?
it's just a time check. It's 1:30.
Okay. Yep. Thoughts and comments?
So what are the prospects? Okay, we're still on the RPG research.
Yes. We'll switch to LLC in a minute.
Okay. No scheduled plan of when to convert to formal training.
Formal training will have to play by ear when my work situation changes. When I'm doing 100 hours a week, I cannot do it.
Okay.
When I can drop...
Training on
What's that?
13th. But we're starting training.
We're going to start the laissez-faire style training in 2 weeks.
Right.
And we will do that for the foreseeable future where I am the trainer, no other trainers. And it'll be whatever I think is appropriate. We can discuss it. Like, oh, next week, what do you think we should cover? Oh, let's do that. Whatever, next session, whatever. And we'll do that laissez-faire style, which works. It works. We trained up lots of people with that. Again, it wasn't the most scalable, optimal, but it worked. As long as I'm the one doing it. And so we'll do that until my job situation improves to where instead of juggling 2 to 3 tech jobs and not making enough money, I'm down to 1 tech job making enough money. And then my hours free up enough that I can then resume work on the 3rd edition, get the 3rd edition nailed down, and then we transition to that formal style when that's ready. And I don't know how long that'll take. It'll take what it'll take. But this way, we're adaptable. We can adapt to the circumstances. Talk show, yes.
Talk shows Mondays 6 p.m. to 9. Wednesday play testing 6 to 9. We have a huge black backlog.
Yeah, of games to test. Yeah.
We're going to do, because we know the answer already, we don't need to test whether or not a GM can, we'll do it. We'll say, here's the box, open it up, can you run this? And then when they say no, we'll have somebody already waiting that actually can run something so we don't waste time.
Okay.
And there's only a few games that actually claim that they can be played no prep.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
How soon do you think we can start Wednesdays? It will double our presentations.
Right.
But he's got the home care thing.
So give me a.
Artemis Healthcare is the broadcast.
Okay. Oh, really?
Because it's
Vocational ed, basically.
Well, vocational, and it's what is it you call when you meet people? Socialization.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right now I have a pen in Rain 10 to 6. Basically give me 2 weeks to properly get new schedule and and then work with Rain on what's happening on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Because I'm more comfortable doing the playtest, being paid to do independent care providing playtest than being on the talk show, because on the talk show my face is always on camera. With the playtest, probably less so.
Okay, Wednesday talk show, the Wednesday playtest, start 2 weeks. Okay, and Fridays, we'll have to play by ear when we're ready to start another broadcast. Or, unless we do it Sunday mornings, I don't know when we're going to do the Baldur's Gate 3 broadcast.
Well, that's a question I had for. So when we start doing the community center, what's the time slot we're doing? Is it 3 to 7? Is it 2 to 6? Is it? I mean, what's the slot we're doing for Sundays?
You told us 3 to 7.
Well, I proposed it. I'm just checking with everybody.
What is this?
The Sunday when we reopen the community center weekly for the community. What time slot works best? It has to be after 12 because people are in church and things like that, and we've got other meetings. So anywhere from 1 to 6, or 1 to 5, 2 to 6, 3 to 7, 4 to 8.
Baldur's Gate?
No, that's a separate topic. That's a separate.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about when we're going to be open for the public.
Yeah, the community center. What hours? If we're going to open on Sunday after the 28th of July.
I'm good at any of the above.
Okay, Dan?
1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
But no later than 3 for
Okay,
some.
that's good to know. Dan?
I'm right now trying to coordinate my schedule
Okay.
to basically have Sunday completely open.
Okay, Kip?
I'm partial to maintaining the schedule that we have for Saturdays for training.
So 3 to 7?
Yeah,
Okay.
just for consistency's
All
sake.
right.
That's easier.
So you guys are all okay with 3 to 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep in mind, that's the public hours. We have the whole half hour before, half hour after thing that we show up and
Right.
leave. But that's the open hours that I will advertise. Okay, cool. All right, and that'll be after, so July 28th is our reopening for that, is what we're planning. Okay, good. Also for the nonprofit, this is critical for the 3rd edition training and our training in general for new trainees. One of the key things to 3rd edition is that it's incorporating the solo adventure books and modules that I was making progress on for BFRPG. By the way, there's now multiple threads of discussion about that on the BFRPG forum, so there's a growing clamor of people wanting that. So 4th edition is the version we need to be using, and we have a number of copies of that, and of course it's free download, PDF. We'd handed it off to David, that went nowhere. We handed it off to Cyrus, that went nowhere. I made a little more progress on it since then. So I have a whole template and scaffolding and beginning storyline and all of that as far as what it should start to look like. But I was talking to Kip, and I was seeing if Elizabeth, who had helped me with the textbook, and this is on the nonprofit side, if you two were interested in taking on trying to finish getting these solo adventure modules, progressed, because they're a core part of what the training will be. The whole point is it incorporates the training concepts into the solo adventures. And I have a whole scaffolding for it and outline, and again, much of it started. It's just it needs a lot more work done.
You want to help me write an adventure?
Yeah, it's basically finish some modules.
You want to build a snowman?
I would love to build a snowman. I think it's gonna melt me about 2.5 seconds out here. I would also love to build a module. I would love to get started on that with like a meeting with Hawk to like really get what you're looking for.
Yep. Yeah, we would have a
But,
separate meeting about that.
I'm a writing person.
Yes, I thought you might be interested.
And I'm a story making person, so.
All right, so I'm going to sign you two up for BFRPG, SABM co-writing to help finish. Excellent. That's going to be, I think that's going to be really beneficial on a lot of fronts. It'll help with our community engagement. It's just, I think it's going to help on so many fronts. We just got to get across that finish line. It's one of many things. What's that?
I just think it'll be fun.
And it'll be fun too. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing the writing. I just keep getting. I don't want to stop, but I keep getting pulled away to work on other stuff. So you and I, the three of us, will schedule a meeting. I'll go over what I have. I'll share with you my thoughts, and then hand it off to you. And we'll share it in the C file as we progress. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I think between the two of you, we can probably actually get some progress. And that is core to the 3rd edition training now.
Okay.
We have to have it in order to do 3rd edition training.
Okay.
Excellent.
How much has the 4th edition BFRPG made changes? As in, can we still use the old modules, or do we have to get new modules?
No, we can totally use the old modules. They're not, as far as I know, the systems aren't different. It was just totally about the licensing.
Okay.
He made changes to like the monsters. He made some tweaks and improvements, but the core system, as far as I know, I haven't really been able to play through it yet. As far as I know, it's still the same. And if it is a difference, it's really minor, not enough to be a big deal. So we can totally use the existing modules as is.
Okay.
But we're going to use the 4th edition rules to generate the solo adventure and teach brand new GM trainees and all that, and players and all that.
Right.
Yeah, I was just wondering about for community games where we're actually
We can for now we can mix and match as needed, unless we come across stuff, and we can always write in them and say, oh, well, this is this change. We haven't done 4th edition yet, so I don't know. But the main change was mostly licensing. Related. So, all right.
Okay.
Cool. We got that. What else did I mention in that email? Let's see. Sent. Why does it say I have no messages sent? That's not true. I've sent a ton of messages.
That LLC stuff, it can be now or it can be next week, but I gotta talk to you guys like relatively soon.
What's that?
Yeah, 20-minute warning.
Yeah. All right. So on the LLC, NG is not available till he gets back in August. He doesn't want to do remote during the interim. When he gets back in August, he's talking about resuming. I gave him the opportunity to just bow out and be done, but he wanted to resume when he gets back in town. So that's that one. I also have in the queue a number of voicemails and emails from prospective clients or spammers. Most of it's spam. But I keep missing following up on prospective clients because of my overload. So something I had talked to Kip about, working also with Elizabeth, but you guys would need to track your hours by the minute, was putting you on part of the call and email response process to follow up with clients. And you'd get paid for the time that you're actually working. Just keep it small, because it's going to come out of my paycheck from my tech work, but I'll funnel the money that way. But that way, we don't keep missing prospective clients. Sometimes we get RPG parties calls where it's a GM in a box thing, and I end up calling back too late. I get about one of those a month or so. Sometimes they want us to come out and do a presentation or training workshop, and I'm too late calling back on those. And then most frequently it's, hey, are you able to do diagnostic testing and or therapy? We don't do diagnostic testing. We may be able to do therapy, but we have to figure out if we're a match, and often we're not a match, but we have to do a screening call. It only takes about 15 minutes to screen out if they're legitimate or not, and often I'm done in like 3 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, no, we don't do diagnostic testing, thank you. But it's that follow-up because they'll call and leave a cryptic message saying they're looking for services, and we often don't know exactly which service they're looking for because we cover a variety. Yes, Elizabeth.
Once Kip and I get certified, can we do assessment?
Yes, so once you guys are CTRSs, I initially have to supervise you to make sure you're doing things our way, but you technically will be allowed to work without supervision. You have to have a buddy. There has to be somebody else because we always have a buddy. So whether it's Dan or John or Brian or Kip or, they always have to have somebody else there. But you won't need me to supervise every session once you have your CTRSs. I mean, heck, I don't have a CTRS, right? So, I mean, that's even better as far as that
You will
goes.
be able to do functional assessments, genre interests, and things like that.
Yeah, we do
You
that.
cannot do anything that leads
We just
to a
can't.
diagnosis.
Yeah, we just can't do a diagnosis. So I was hoping, Elizabeth, if you and Kip's already said yes, to put you two on. We'll figure out a call schedule and an email schedule that you guys kind of help stay on top of that to follow up with prospective clients. And then if it needs to go the next step, you ping me and let me know, and I'll take it from there. Sound good? Okay. So that's part two. The other part is once you each get good enough at your Eagle Peak presentation or equivalent, once you're signed off on that, you're then authorized on the LLC to start booking paid workshops on that particular presentation, which, by the way, was our most in-demand style of presentation, where we just present on the info. People pay $100, $200, $300 for that, and you sign up 5, 10, 20, it depends on what's online or in person, but you sign up people. We already have an account on Tix.com, TIX, and we have our Odoo for registration, all that. So once you're signed off, you can start to accumulate non-therapy hours, but doing our LLC work as a presenter once you're signed off on that presentation. So that gets all of you can do that very quickly once you're signed off on that presentation. So that at least lets you get some billable hours without having to wait for clients and therapy and all that stuff. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you guys are signed off on that presentation, which is a basic one, we can start doing it on the more advanced ones that are more advanced workshops to sign you off on those as well, so that then you can be booking for more of those. And those start to become more lucrative because some of them are like 1 day, 3 day, spread over a couple of days, and those can be $500 to $1,000 a pop per person. Their work often pays for it. It's upwards of $3,000 often, and those are quite lucrative. The workshops are the most profitable of all of our service offerings. The RPG GM in a box is the next most profitable, and then the least profitable is our therapeutic modality. Education's profitable too, and especially the online ed. So these are all areas where all of you can be getting paid and bring money in the LLC, and then the LLC helps prop up the nonprofit as well. And you won't need my supervision all the time once you get to a certain stage, so that'll help the LLC scale. I'm trying to see about adding Katie. If I add Katie, we have 10 employees, not all active. If we get enough hours of active employees, I'm trying to get health insurance, group health.
Ooh.
It's not going to be great because I'm a small company, but I'm trying to get group health because right now, Katie and I, now that she's no longer on a job, my current job's contracted. We have no health insurance after July, and so I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. I've got 4 businesses. One of them's got 9 employees.
I'm on Apple Care.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm trying to figure out a way through maybe ADP or one of the other resources if I can get at least some health care as a perk for being an active employee at the LLC. They do offer it for part-time. It's a lot more expensive for the employer. As long as we bring in enough money, I would be happy to have the employer pay 100% of the premiums, as long as there's enough money coming in to cover it, right? It's just getting there.
That seems like a good point for me to talk about my progress here.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I've continued my my kid sessions.
Yes.
But that's not really that's just like incidental. I've had a couple of really good talks with my town rec department, with an organization called Follow Your Art, and with the librarians, which the library doesn't currently have a space, but they should be moving back into their regular space that has function rooms, activity rooms, like not too many months in the future. And both Follow Your Art and the rec department have sounded really interested in talking to me in a couple of weeks about me doing fall programming,
Nice.
which I would love to do, through the LLC, like
Okay.
as a Massachusetts arm of that.
Right.
So I don't know how that would work, and I really want to talk to you about how that would work before I talk to them.
Okay.
I mean, obviously this isn't the meeting for that, but that's kind of where I am right now.
All right.
I talked to him a little bit about it, and I think he seemed willing, if the schedule allowed, to do like supervision for some of the sessions.
Okay.
So
Good.
I think I got some promising stuff going on that
Good.
could, be
Excellent.
stuff.
Excellent. Well,
Just
then,
not therapy,
yeah.
payments, but
yeah. So what we can do is, after, I mean, it can be before them, but potentially after the training, you and I can break out into a separate planning discussion training for that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. Very cool. Excellent. That's great news. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and I have officially graduated.
You what?
Hey,
Congratulations.
she's officially graduated.
Woo!
I don't have any flags to wave.
So now you just got to take that test.
Yeah, where are you on the test?
Yes. Yeah, I gotta figure out where I can take the test.
Good point.
Definitely don't procrastinate.
No, I've
The longer you wait, the
Harder
worse
it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. I'm a little bit unsure where I am in the signing up process, like where I'm with the prerequisites for that. I'm supposed to call last week, and then the heat wave just wiped my brain.
Okay. Yeah, definitely get on that. You do not want to procrastinate.
No, I've been taking some steps.
Good.
I just have some steps that I need
Awesome.
to get on this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's the big thing. Other than
Good.
The group's going well.
Yep. Okay, good. Kip, anything you want to bring up? Okay.
I
Dan.
think so.
Okay, Dan, anything you want to bring up?
Best of luck with camp. That's the other thing.
What's that?
Oh, best of luck with camp.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I've already brought up what I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Where, I'm no longer with the general store.
Good.
Which means I still have a lot more flexibility. It's not
Awesome.
complete flexibility. But,
Yeah. Excellent.
Honestly, I don't mind doing you guys and then independent care providing because.
Oh,
What?
the online thing. We needed to get you guys nailed down on the online program schedule. So if we know what our Saturday training and Spark Central schedule is, and we know what our Sunday community program is, what is the plan as far as the online community sessions? Where do we fit that in this? One possibility is, but if Dan is already tied up, it doesn't work, or if Kip's tied up, it doesn't work, is that the online community program is the same schedule as our in-person community program schedule. But that only works when we have enough staff that because we have to have a supervisor, right? There always has to be an online supervisor, just like there has to be an in-person supervisor. So if we don't have enough staff to split that, then that doesn't work. So what is a time slot that the three of you can make work to say jump in and make it happen
We've been trying to figure
without
that out.
burning out? Yeah.
And Fridays were not it.
Well, Fridays. One of the reasons why Fridays wasn't it was because I was also going through the process of, honestly, the reason why is the last 2 weeks independent care providing increased my hours, and I had to put in my 2 weeks for the general store. So I've been working 40 hours with just independent care providing while winding down the general store. And that's the reason why I was able to show up.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I was trying to ask if the bumps had just been temporary, or if the time was really not working out, because it was working out until June.
Okay.
Okay.
So Friday evenings you were meeting and it was working?
Yeah.
What time?
It
6-ish.
was on 6.
So,
Just a little late for me, but I could.
6 to
maybe a little
10.
earlier.
Yeah, that's pretty. But that's as
But,
early
I
as
mean,
you
I'm-
can do. You can't do earlier than that.
I think
But
I
it's
can
not
do
bad to
earlier
have,
than
like-
that now because summer camp I think lets out at 4.
So you might be able to do 5 to 9,
Yeah.
or
Like
yeah.
if anybody was able to supervise me a little bit, I could do it like, the same time at EST, and it would be a little easier on me, and then we would have 2 time slots, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, Dan.
Because I'm thinking I'm moving around a game that I'm running. I was thinking about moving that to Fridays instead of Sundays. Would we be able to do either Tuesday or Thursday? Because honestly, I'm normally done with my client by 2 o'clock on those
So
days.
far, I am able to do that. Yes.
Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Now, obviously, that's for the actual program. That
Right.
for practice, you have to do the Friday evening. It sounds like for training each other, but for the actual availability to the community, you're talking you two. You two can do that. Kip can't because of her schedule.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know the summer camp schedule.
Okay.
I haven't been given
But
it
let's
yet,
tentatively, because you have your normal schedule. So the thing is, there's 2 parts. There's you guys practicing, so you're in that groove and helping each other, and then there's getting out there and actually starting to offer the programs. And you can do those on the same day as practicing, but then you don't get to talk about and do like, hey, I ran the session this week. Here, can you give you feedback? The practice sessions together are a great time for peer support. Right, so if you're able to maintain that Friday one, even if it's just a reduced 2 to 3 hours, right, doesn't have to be the full 4 hours, that you guys are checking in with each other and support each other and practicing and working on specific areas that come up, that Friday evening slot so that Kip can join, sounds like it would be a good idea for you guys, the 3, to maintain that. And then meanwhile, Elizabeth and Dan, you figure out a Tuesday or Thursday slot that you can do, and then Kip will figure out a slot in coordination with you two for her to do for the public. We can do that separately. How does that sound so far?
That's reasonable.
I'll know
Especially
more.
if we get enough hours for you, then I can,
Yeah.
I don't have to take like a full-time job.
I'll know more this coming week. I just
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like with that online stuff, it's kind of still up in the air in terms of like where we're exactly like on nailing things down.
yeah.
But you can do your
Yeah.
practice sessions 5 to 9.
I think so, yeah.
That would be a little less, or let's make it 3 hours, 5 to 8. Yeah. That's enough for you guys to practice now. Hey, we're almost finished. Feel free. You can hang out wherever you want, downstairs, upstairs. Yeah.
Are we going to publish the schedule on RPGSN.net or somewhere?
Well, I'll publish it all over the place once we're committed. But it sounds like we still need to figure out Tuesday / Thursday. Oh gosh, darn it.
Okay, we can nail that down. Do we have any data or feeling about which is more likely to get actual people?
Thursdays were usually pretty good. We used to have pretty good luck with Thursdays, with training, with community programs. I think either will be fine because online you got a lot more flexibility about who's going to show up. So, I mean, if you go too early in the day, then generally people won't make it. But what you guys are talking about, I think you'll be okay. So you guys are trying to nail down either a Tuesday or Thursday. I think either one works. What's that?
Again, say Thursday.
The advantage of Tuesday is you get a break as opposed to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I'm
Well,
sorry,
I'm not doing Sundays with you guys. I am doing something.
Oh, that's right.
Sundays.
Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah.
But you two can figure out the Tuesday or Thursday option, and then we'll later figure out once Kip has more data about what her slot is, and you guys can coordinate. But just plan on resuming the Friday one, 5 to 8, starting this Friday. Does that sound good?
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
I can do that.
So that's 8 to 11. Yours, Elizabeth.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, that was productive.
Yay.
Yay! We've got longitudinal planning, and we've got our immediate planning, and we've got in between, so that's good. All right.
Right on time.
Yep. All right. Yes, Elizabeth.
Can I meet with you like next week? Talk about some of that stuff.
Yes,
You know,
I've been keeping a slot open for you on Sundays at 1, I think.
Oh.
This whole
I
time,
know
I was
that.
just waiting for you to get back into the groove.
Oh.
But I still had it on my
because-
alarm clock here. Let me double check because I think it just
All right,
went off
I
while we
will
were
put that on my
talking.
calendar. I will meet you next Sunday at 4.
Yeah, that works. Ping my cell phone if I space it because I got to get back into a groove. All right, very cool. All right, so I hope, does everybody feel better about things now that we've done this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right, thanks everybody so much. I'll catch you all later. Now I'm going to meet
Okay.
with Shane, right? Yeah, Shane and Nicholas on the tech stuff. You guys met Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at Spark.
Elizabeth? Oh, Shane,
I
come here.
think so.
Elizabeth's in Massachusetts.
Well, you-
She was
you
here
met
for
him
a
at
while,
Spark.
but come this way. Camera's over here.
Camera's over here.
Yeah. So he
Just a
recently joined to
reminder,
help
you
us on
have
the
my
tech.
laptop.
Yes, and I'll have Nicholas and Shane take a look at that right away. Where did you put it again?
Table 1.
All right, great.
I think I saw a laptop down there.
Yeah. So John's having trouble with sending email.
Okay.
He can or is it receiving or sending?
Sending. I
Sending.
can receive.
He can receive, but he can't send.
Okay.
So you got to figure that out. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great one.
Thanks, all.
Catch you later. Be well.
Very
We
well.
miss you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.